Hi, good morning. This is Fred Henning from Out of Box Wealth. I hope you're having a blessed day and you and your family are doing well. And today I wanted to ask you, what's your story? What is your story? What are you saying to yourself about yourself? What are you telling yourself who you are? Or who are you telling yourself you are and you're destined to be? What type of language are you using in your story? And when we think about our story, it's very, very important to take a realistic look at our story and to be aware that we are, in fact, telling ourselves a story every day. And it's the story of our self belief, it's the story of our subconscious mind, it's the story of ourselves telling ourselves who we are. And it's an accumulation of life experience. For some, it becomes a story of accumulation of negative life experience, or it becomes an accumulation of disappointing, discouraging, harmful, hurtful experiences, and then you start telling yourself that that is who you are. I remember personally, I was just recently thinking of a childhood experience, and give you a heads up, it was a negative one. And we actually went somewhere, we went to visit some friends. And at this time I was living with my mother, but I wasn't really raised by my mother. I was raised by my grandmother. My mother dropped me off at my grandmother's house when, I was just young, and nobody has ever told me how young. Everybody seems to protect the story, so I don't really know exactly how young, but all of my baby and childhood memories up until about 8 or 9. It's around 8 or 9 years old when my grandmother died, but that was all with my grandmother. And then when I was 10 years old, I went to live with my mother. And it was an uncomfortable situation. It was an uncomfortable environment. My mother was living with a man. They weren't married. He was divorced. Of course, my mother was divorced as well. She got divorced when I was just a baby. That's how I ended up at my grandmother's house. And so my mother was divorced from my father, who I never met until I was, an adult. And the man who my mother was living with was divorced, and he had quite a few of his own problems. And anyway, I ended up living there after my grandmother died. That's where they sent me. That's where I was shipped off to. And it was a situation where nobody necessarily wanted to be in. I didn't want to be there. It seemed like they didn't want me there. So it was, certainly less than positive. But anyway, this was the environment that I was experiencing. And we all went to visit some of their friends. It was actually the friends of, the gentleman that my mother was living with and I was staying with. So it was his friends. And when we went there, my mother didn't pack a bag for me. She didn't pack anything. And I was maybe about 10 or 11, right around in there, maybe 12 years old. And so for some reason I didn't think to pack a bag either. So we went to visit these people. We were going to stay overnight, and all I had were the clothes on my back. And where we went to visit, that family only had girls. So I couldn't, wear any of their clothes. So what happened was we went there and we were going to sleep overnight. And I'm saying to myself, hey, I don't have any PJs. What am I going to do? And it was an issue, and it just turned into an issue that everyone was addressing, and everyone said, well, just sleep in your underwear. And the unfortunate thing was that at that time, the adults just told the kids to go get their PJs on. So here I was in front of everybody, in this situation, which was very embarrassing, to say the least. And so And the answer was, hey, no PJs, your PJs are your underwear. So there I am, standing in front of a bunch of strangers, because even my mother and the man she was living with was still really a stranger to me. I didn't grow up with them. And there I am, just standing in front of all of them in my underwear, and everybody was laughing. And it was just an uncomfortable, I mean, truly uncomfortable moment. It's the stuff that nightmares are made of. So, I was thinking of that, and just after that, just the uncomfortable feeling, that I experienced, not entirely because of my, own doing. At that time I was still, trusting in a parental figure to take care of me and do things for me. And my mother just simply abandoned me, in front of all these people, abandoned me emotionally. And I guess maybe she was a little bit embarrassed because she didn't handle the situation. And it just turned into a humiliating moment for me. And, that could have, that could have, told me who I am. That could have said, well, that's who you are. That's your lifestyle. That's your family. That's, who, that's where you come from. And, that's what you're going to live. But I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I look back at it and I laugh now. I look at it from a, humorous point of view, but I also have compassion towards myself and, towards, myself at that age. And, recognize that that's not how it should have been. It shouldn't have happened that way. I shouldn't have experienced that. I didn't have to experience that. And when I also look back, I realized that there was no real harm done. I'm okay. There was no real abuse. It was just a little bit of emotional uncomfortableness. And so I can learn to be an energetic person and learn to take the situations from life and transform or transmute the energy into something that can help me, or something that can make my life better. And it can make my life better because if I was ever in that situation again, maybe as an adult, I could help. I would protect. I wouldn't let that happen. And one thing that's really powerful is when you're in a group situation like that and you recognize that it's starting to get a little bit toxic, and the toxic focus is directed on one person. Well, there you go. That's your chance to step in as a healer, to step in as a comfortable, direct all attention to yourself, and rescue someone from somebody or from a situation that could be very toxic and could be disturbing, that could tell them their life story, or have them stuck to a story that has nothing to do with their authentic self. And it's really, really powerful to begin to tell ourselves a story that is going to equip us and lead us into the future that we desire. To not have a story that is authored by someone else, to not have a story that is authored by a group or a mainstream thought, to not have a story that is leading us, in a path of negative situations or negative expectancy, to not be telling ourselves a story that is anything less than we all deserve. And we all deserve peace, love, happiness, joy, the blessing of life that is given to us all in abundance. Our planet is abundant. Our universe is abundant. There is no lack of matter. There's no lack of energy. And there's no lack of energy to be able to construct matter, to build the kingdom, the lifestyle, the environment, the loving experience that we desire to have for ourselves. And it's all there. It's already there. But if we're stuck in a situation where we're telling ourselves a negative story, or a self-sabotaging story, or a limiting story that was imposed upon us by somebody else, or maybe something that it could be a conclusion that we came to based on the reactions of someone else, I think my example is, really good. I could have told myself a lot of things, because of that, and could have told myself a lot of negative things. Maybe you had an experience like that, and you're allowing it to tell you who you are. You're allowing it to say, well, you're this type of person. A lot of people, are allowing things like this to affect their financial story. What is your financial story? Are you telling yourself a financial story of abundance? We live truly in the land of opportunity. The people, the forefathers that, opened the doors to this current reality that we are experiencing in North America. They understood the power of words. They understood the power of proclamation. They understood the power of declaration. And they wrote their words down. They documented their words. They wrote their words. They foretold a kingdom, a nation, the United States of America, and what they saw it to be and what they saw its potential to be. One of the very, very interesting things, especially if you have the Gaia Network, to look at just a lot of work that has been done on even just in the United States, just the Capitol domes, any type of building where there is a dome, and anyone who is doing work or who's doing any type of documentary. William Henry is certainly my favorite, and his work on Ascension and the Ascension domes, especially the dome at our nation's capital. But when you look at it, you find that, the people who were instrumental in setting up the United States of America had an understanding of a story, and of telling a story, and of telling a declaration of a story that would last well into the future. It's an ancient practice. It's an ancient understanding. It's an ancient belief. It's written down in the scriptures. Write the vision down and make it known. And that's why writing a story, telling a story, having a story that vibrates an energetic manifestation that you desire is power to each and every one of us. Very common ancient practice in many different traditions of prayer and meditation is the practice of seeing yourself, maybe seating yourself in a comfortable position, and then looking at yourself from outside of yourself. And then looking at yourself and causing yourself to grow till, or seeing yourself to grow till, your head touches the ceiling in the room that you're in. And then you keep growing till you grow out of the house. And then you grow until you can look over the whole North American continent. You can see the South American continent. You continue to grow. And the practice of seeing yourself as a giant or growing into a giant creates a program in you. It creates an awareness in you that you are bigger sometimes, all times, and every time. You're bigger than you may think you are, especially if you're seeing yourself as something small or someone small that just has to scurry your way through life, and you don't want to be noticed. You just want to kind of get through life, as quickly and as safely as you can without drawing a lot of attention to yourself because you're afraid, or because you're ashamed, or because you have any type of story that is telling you you're anything less than who you truly are. Because who you truly are is gigantic, is amazing, it's incredible, is wonderful, is loving, is kind, is gentle, is peaceful, is abundant, is powerful, is rich, is able to create absolutely anything that you truly desire. And so having a financial story is important, especially when we've gone through such a long time, such a long oppression of wealth, a long time of people being oppressed financially across the board. Look now, what we used to call the middle class. A lot of people are saying that the middle class has disappeared, that there is no such thing anymore. What is the middle class? Compared to world standards, The middle class was, just a group of people who were able to just go out and, make a living and have a good life, have everything that they need, have some extra, and, be able to experience a good life. And many say that the middle class is disappearing. Well, what type of influence would cause that to happen? It might be that the story has been changed. Might be that a lot of people are, watching different types of influences that are saying that there's problems, saying that finances are short. Well, really? How much money was in circulation before any of our current challenges? Has that money gone out of circulation? No, it hasn't. Well, certainly buying power may have decreased and inflation may have changed things, but there's a lot of things that many people were giving money for that were toxic anyway. So in times like these, it's a good time to take inventory. One fantastic method of being able to free up a lot of money for yourself without doing anything is to simply remove sugar and sugar-based products from your diet. Anything with high fructose corn syrup, anything with sugar, anything with refined flour, remove that from your diet. Stop buying those types of products. And when you do that, you're going to have to replace those products. Replace them with vegetables, healthy vegetables. You get more hydration from healthy vegetables and fruit than you do drinking sports drinks and all these things that are advertising to people that is going to hydrate you, that they really just fill you up with toxins, fill you up with sugar, fill you up with things that make your energy, quite. It's almost like two radio stations competing for each other. It's a lot of static. It's not clean energy. It's not ketosis. It's not an energy that is powerful and solid. So changing your story, changing who you are, changing what you believe is a powerful choice to be able to make for yourself. It's a powerful journey to be able to return to who you were as a child before outside influence started to mold you into someone who you aren't. Before outside influence started to change you into an avatar creation that you're trying to be good enough for people around you, that you're trying to be to please people around you. And when we become that avatar and we abandon our true authentic self, there's a lot of different things that happen. There's things that happen, in our mind. There's things that happen in our physiology. There's stress that occurs. So when we can return to our true authentic self, our inner being, our centeredness, our child whom we were before we had any type of influence try to change us into someone that we're not, when we make that return journey, and when we pull up and collect and pick up that child into our current self of who we are, and we allow ourselves to merge and combine into one wholesome, holistic, healthy being, it changes our story. And it changes our ability to control our story and control our future, and to become empowered with the ability to say unto this mountain, go, throw yourself into the sea, and it shall be done. You're capable of amazing things, and there's amazing teaching, there's amazing teachers, there's amazing influence that is there to support you every step of the way. And just by being aware of it, you have already opened the doors, you have already opened the ancient gates, you have already passed through the path and onto the secure path that leads to your true authentic self. Love and blessing in abundance and ever increasing momentum to you and your family. Shalom, Inothi Seyutam, Namaste.